to another episode of That Marketing Show brought to you by The Coffee Group. This is episode 22. Today we're going to have an interview with Jerome Breche of Snap Engage. And I want to talk about Snap Engage. I dig the product. We use it here at The Coffee Group. It is an integrated chat system that you can use for your website. So I'm just going to give you an example of how this works. If we just go to a website, you're going to see a little live chat button here in the corner. And what this really does is it provides the ability for customers who are on the site or clients who are on the site to engage with you at a level of right there. Boom. We're on. Okay, so you can see that we've got now potentially a conversation. So I'm going to show you what this has resulted in so that we can show you conversion, because we love to show conversion. We can see that we've been getting a lot of chats over the last couple of weeks since we installed this. We've had customers come through here and have discussions about pay-per-click and SEO and all sorts of fun things that relate to digital marketing, which is what we do. We've converted customers after just a few sentences of dialogue into appointments and into sales. So this stuff really does work. It has been performing for us. We've seen roughly about a 10 or 15% lift in sales. I would highly recommend that you install this on your site or some product like this. Obviously, talking to Jerome, we'll get his take on it and also his take on entrepreneurship. Enjoy the interview. Okay. So, hey, I am super excited to have you. Can you talk a little bit about really where this idea came from? How did you get started? Because I think a lot of people watching this show are like, it's such a basic thing, right? But
yeah,
how come I didn't think of that?
So first, thank you for having me. And the idea was a long story. I would like to say that our goal from the beginning was to help our customers engage with their visitor. That's not exactly how it started. So we had back in 2009, we were working on a completely different product, which was a video discussion solution. A little bit like Skype, but asynchronous. And this product had a component in there that would let you take a screenshot and then whiteboard over it to, again, communicate more effectively. We were a struggling startup. We had about 5,000 customers at the time, or users, I should say, because nobody was paying for the solution.
Right.
But some of those customers had interesting feedback. They wanted to use our solution and install it on their website to receive communication and feedback from their customers. We were really close to run out of money. So one weekend, my co-founder and I decided, okay, let's screw this and let's build it. Looks like it might be a good idea. So we actually built what our customer asked us initially. Instead of following our vision, we built this product. Initially, we called it Snap-a-Bug. So this was a small widget that somebody could install in their website to receive feedback about the website with a screenshot of the website. And then what happened is about 2 weeks later, we got our first paying customer. It was like $7 a month initially. And I said, ooh, looks like this might actually work. So it's a pretty good idea. We kept developing the product, kept getting more customers. And those customers keep giving us feedback. And one of the very common feedback is like, hey, I love being able to receive messages from my customers, but now I'd like to be able to respond faster to those messages. And what they wanted basically was like chat. So we developed it, gave it to our customers, and this was a really big success. And what we intended initially being a customer service solution, mostly for support, became more of a marketing and sales tool. People were using it on their website to automatically engage with new visitors and eventually turn them into customers. So this was mid-2010, and the feedback at this point was, we love your solution, it's awesome, but the name really sucks. It was called Snap-a-Bug, so that's when we decided to rename it Snap Engage, because engagement is what we are about with this solution.
100%, and that's great. I love to hear the story. Are you guys? Are you in the U.S. now?
So I'm in Boulder, in Colorado.
Boulder.
That's where we started the company, and since we expanded in Europe as well. So we have a team of 7 here in Boulder and about 6 in Berlin in Germany as well.
Okay, yeah, I noticed the
I'm
German
French
accent.
actually initially.
Uh, or it sounded like French and German all at the same time. So I guess one of the things I wanted to try and figure out was how did you know you were onto something?
Um,
Like, I mean,
yeah,
we talked through the whole process, but now it's sort of like it's 2013. Um, I kind of picked you out of the blue. I don't know why. I think I went to someone else's website and I'm like, this is awesome. Um, it was like another like link building guy, and he got me to start talking to him on the because I typically I'm the first person to click that thing out. I gotta get rid of this thing. It's like it's bothering me. But if you're really an engaged customer and you want an answer, it's awesome because it's right there. And just
yep,
to let you know, our sales have gone up by like about 15%
that,
since we've had the
that's awesome.
product.
I love hearing this.
And it's because I think it works for particular businesses. It's not for everybody. Personally, that's my opinion. You would probably say it is for everybody, but I think it's for anybody who has really
Hmm.
service related products, like something you want now, and someone's there. Any of this like the complicated stuff that we do in an agency world. If people they get the first contact, it's like you're pushing customer care to the very front of the line.
Yep.
And I think that that's the
Hmm.
solve, right? To me that's when I go back to my customers and I say, what would really help you guys is if you started the conversation at the very beginning, up front, when the person gets to your site, instead of having a form fill. Why? You're there. They're there. If they're going to fill out a form, there's a delay of who knows how much
Hmm.
time, right? So I think there's a lot of cool integration thing that you're probably in the back of your mind. Like, here's some new thoughts that we had. But I guess my thought process, and I said I wanted to take this back, is when did you know you kind of had something? Because it's 2013 now,
Yep.
2010 sort of when I think you shifted, right? But what was the customer uptick, and how did you kind of like get across the chasm when you knew you kind of had necessarily? I guess you could say you've made it now, right? Because you're sort of, nobody's really, I guess, 100% sure, but I think from what I can feel, from what I can see from the product, there's really just a
Yeah,
huge
and
upward
it's
momentum
so I
right now.
think we felt like the system is actually gonna work once our customers started giving us uh, tons of feedback about how to make it better, which means they were really engaged with our product. They were using it. Like you said earlier, it was improving their conversion. They were getting more customers thanks to the product. And I think that's when we felt we had a good solution on our end. And yeah, this thing actually works. Um, and it was really
Yeah.
all thanks to customer feedback. Um, this was a big difference for us.
Okay.
I think initial product, we had a vision, we followed our vision. Nobody was really interested in this vision or willing to pay for it. Once we started listening to customers and actually
Right.
build what they wanted, that's what made a big difference. So this was a big lesson learned for us. I think it's really listening to the customer, actually building the product that works for them.
Yeah, no, what's interesting to me is that, I mean, I see this going so much further into
Hmm.
video, customer care, and what you could really do with this stuff. It's almost scary levels of like I can just picture what's going to happen, which is you're going to go to a website and you're going to basically click a button and say
Hmm.
let's start talking, and just like a customer care window is going to open up, and because everybody's got enough bandwidth now that this is not a big deal.
And it's
It's just a
useful. I
matter
think the
of
big
time.
difference before people are trying to automate their website as much as possible, trying to do it without anybody really manning the website, would just run by itself. The big change now is that websites are becoming like traditional stores. When you show up in a store, somebody comes, greets you, and say, "Hey, how may I help you today?" And now the same thing is actually happening with websites. And this was a big shift for us. It's when we
Right.
started adding capabilities such as the proactive chat, where we automatically pop up the message. This is like a greeter in a store. It's exactly the same thing. You go to Best Buy and somebody asks you, "Hey, how can I help you? What product are you interested in?" So that's really what made the product different. And also, what we saw is that other live chats were providing similar capabilities, but after faking the engagement. They would ask you for your email address, your name, and a bunch of information. And this actually stops the engagement. Where we were really trying to be different is make this engagement very easy. It's like you get the automated message, you respond, you are directly connected with an operator, and then you can engage.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting because, as I said before, I think here's our mantra lately has been to build the digital experience for the customer. And I think to an extension of that it's the strategic digital evolution of what's happening in the world, right? Which is, I think no longer people are necessarily their BS detector has gone up, right? So when they get to a website and they are there and there's some interest and there's some intent, right? So, in our case, a lot of people come to our website to find some digital marketing solutions. When we start a conversation with them, it's not like some kind of outsourced, what's your phone number, what's your email, and then that's it. Because I think the BS detector on a lot of these, which I think in the past has been the problem, is that people, they're just fishing for my information. But if you start a real conversation with someone who's actually manning and knows the business, oh my God, those people convert in like an hour. They're like, good, when can you get here?
You're using it the right way. It's like you have to be genuine. And
correct.
Even if they're not a customer yet, really genuinely trying to help them. Getting them to what they want, that's the goal with the solution.
Yeah, and I think that challenge is going to be how does it integrate through all the properties, right? So if you're at my Facebook page, right, or you're at my Pinterest page, right, this could go on an infinitum. How do you manage the process of pulling people through? Because not everybody's on a website, and I think where this really ends up going at the end of the day, maybe you can help me through the process of what you're thinking, is this ubiquitous, authentic conversation that's happening real time across multiple platforms. And that evolution of our digital strategy, or the strategic implementation, the strategic, let's just say, authority that has over other competitors, or other, to differentiate yourself from other. That's where I think things are going to be very interesting going forward, is how the interaction and the digital experience becomes now sort of, as you said, mentioned, the storefront. And the difference between you and the next guy is, well, my first piece of business with these guys, or my first interaction was completely different than the competitor. And I think that's where we're trying to lead our customers down this path to say, listen, this is not about just building a website. This is about the digital experience that you're going to be providing for these customers. Because if you can win that battle, the likelihood of conversion is a lot higher.
And this is all regular customer service. It's like being there for your customer, being able to answer your questions, which regular brick and mortar shops had to do forever, and now you have to do the same thing online. So as you mentioned, there are many channels, but I don't think we are competing with other channels. All those channels are actually completing each other. So for example, you're going to use live chat on your website, but you're still going to have to respond to Twitter. The only problem is Twitter messages are public for the most part, or if you want to send a DM, you have to accept the person, so it's a bit more work. Now we offer the ability to respond to a Twitter or Facebook message with a chat invite. So somebody can then have a real-time conversation with you and your company without having to go through those channels. We have a Facebook application, so you can also install live chat on your Facebook fan page. But again, it's not competing with a regular Facebook channel. The phone is another channel. That's why we offer the call me option inside the live chat. So you are chatting with an agent. Now we have a call me button you can press to get connected directly with this agent without having to navigating the company phone tree, which could be painful sometimes.
Yeah, I think since it's the cool thing is it's all
Mm-hmm.
synced up with Skype, which now we think about this like agents. I mean
Yep.
agents as in people who work for the company.
Yes.
Anybody can be an agent now, meaning that they don't have to have the onboarded or the downloaded application on their end. They don't have to open up anything because everybody's on Skype in a lot of our environment today. So it's not hard to do that. And what we're considering is, I'm sure you probably have had this model before, where we'll provide an outsourced service to our clients to say, we may not have all the answers, but at least to get the conversation started and then to transfer that person to you is the next step. So like our customers might be small, mid-sized businesses or whatever, and now they're not willing to have somebody sit behind a desk, but they might have us do the outsourced chat for them at a certain level, and then we
Mm-hmm.
transfer that to somebody. And I think that in a way, it's kind of like at the end of the day, the customer who is now in transition between the clicking the back button or clicking the 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 chat button, right? Maybe this is the next conversion helpful strategy. Besides, if these people are going to spend money on pay-per-click and social media and all this stuff, they need to now, have another resource. And we do this for clients with telemarketing and stuff like that. So it's just
Yep.
another
And
avenue for
I
them to get
think
sales.
ideally, really, you'd like the company itself to provide the chat. And the higher in the company, the
Of
better.
course,
But if you can have
absolutely.
somebody just to be there and greet the customer and then transfer it,
Yes.
this is valuable too. I understand for smaller companies, it's difficult to dedicate somebody to live chat. Um, so this process can work as long as the intermediary or like your agency, for example, is honest about it. It's really the key. It's not misleading the
Right.
customer.
So, so where is Snap Engage going? Where do you guys see the business in a year? What products do you have,
Yes,
or what are you road
with so
testing?
you mentioned Skype.
And
We started initially providing live chat from Google Talk, then we've added Skype. Uh, so we were leveraging existing IM, so people don't have to install or learn a new application. What we found out is that this works well for people who are like multitasking, smaller companies. We're not going to be dedicated 100% to chat. However, for larger companies, 50, 100 agents, they actually want their agent to have a live chat tool, which is really optimized for what they are doing. Let them transfer easily, give them more information about the website visitor from social media
mm-hmm.
and other sources. Also, let them access their knowledge database directly from it. So we developed a web client, which is some sort of hybrid between Google Talk and Skype, which with additional capabilities, more focus on customer service and live chat. So this is more the direction we are going into. We also found out that smaller customers, smaller companies who don't have resources dedicated to live chat get less benefits out of it. Because if you are not available to respond to customer inquiries, or if you're so we are
Totally
focusing a little
understand.
bit more with
Yeah.
slightly larger customers who actually have the resources dedicated to live chat, and those customers are getting great benefits from the product.
Perfect. Um, so, where do you see? I mean, your business has grown probably pretty substantially in
Yep.
the last couple of years, I would think. You probably went from a couple of guys, I would think, in
Yeah, we came
2010,
from
right?
2 guys in early 2010 to right now we have a team of 13 people. And
Wow, that's amazing. So, how did you manage? And I want to talk just some mechanical stuff here, not necessarily about the product, because I gotta. We're gonna try and get this wrapped up because we're approaching about 20 minutes where I want to kind of keep the discussion to fun things here. What what do you think is the from a mechanical standpoint? What's the hardest thing about hiring good people? About
yeah,
hiring,
it's
people that it's because that's the biggest problem I think all the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
world lives in.
And it's,
How do I find them?
I wouldn't describe it as a
hard.
problem. I think for us as a company, in our culture, hiring somebody is actually the most important decision we can make. So this is number one for us. So for us, the challenge has been the cultural fit, finding the right people so we can actually keep the company the way it is as we are growing, but keep the same culture. So we spend a lot of time working on our vision. Where do we want to be as a company? So we wrote a 2015 vision. We share it with the entire team. It was really a team effort. And same thing when we are hiring, because hiring is so important, we are getting everybody involved. So we have a process where we first have a small selection committee, like 3 people, to filter out. We give assignments to candidates and they move to the next level of interview. Ultimately, they're gonna talk to everybody in the company. And at the end, it's a company decision. So it's not just my co-founder and myself hiring, it's really everybody hiring. So we are very picky, and it takes our hiring process takes a little bit longer, maybe than normal companies. But we tell the candidates upfront, it's going to take a little bit longer. You're going to have to meet a lot of people, and also we're going to ask you to work on some assignments between interviews. So at the end, when we hire somebody, we are pretty confident that they're going to be a good fit and they're going to work out.
So when you work on some assignments in between, are you giving them like an hourly rate? Because you're like, listen, I know you're not, or are they doing it for free, gratis?
At this point, they are doing it for free. But it's
I got to do that.
Take them too long. And the assignment is really, it's focused on the area. If they are a developer, we're going to ask them to actually write something using one of our API. If they are a customer service person, maybe we're going to ask them to do a small competitive analysis. And this way, they're going to learn more about our product and the competitors.
That's great. Yeah, because I think growing a company it's
exciting.
It's fun. It's exciting, but it's the failure points of hiring the wrong people that have probably for me have been a big challenge. Which is I spent so many times putting effort into people, finding out they're not the right person, and then you have to start over again, which is par for the course.
Yeah, and
right?
Hiring is actually just the beginning. I see initially when we were very small, it was easy to hire people that were like us, so they're just going to work out. Now we're actually starting to hire people who are not necessarily exactly the same, but they are more complementary, but which means that in some area we have now to invest some time in training and making sure we give the right information. And this is actually taking a little bit more time. It's like modeling employees after the hiring.
So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs, people who are maybe trying to get their business off the ground, who are actively, sort of going up the ladder? Maybe they're at your 2010, level. We're back 3 years ago when you were kind of just trying to, pay the bills, keep the lights on. What would you tell these people? Because I think there's a lot of people who watch this show who are trying to, necessarily get through the process of over the hill and onto the wheels up and plane flying in the air type of mentality.
There are a few. I think the first one would be on the funding side. Initially, we didn't know better. We were trying to get actually investors, probably like everybody who's starting a company. And found out it's actually much easier to focus on the customer and get your customer to fund your business. So we are self-funded.
Good
I think
idea.
we learn it again the hard way. Initially, we try getting investors, but it's taking so much time. It's going to defocus you from the business. If I had to do it again, I would actually skip this step and focus on the customers. That's the best way to get funding for the company.
Excellent answer. Okay, and let's go back one step, which I think is interesting. How did you get to running your own company? I know we talked about this in the very beginning, but where did the emphasis come to just go off on your own? How did that start?
I'm not sure actually. So my father had his own company, and it's like all the time I grew up, he said, never start your own business. It's a mess. Just work for somebody. It's much easier.
Right? The only business is the best business, is not your own.
That's the advice I've heard growing up. So I worked for a Fortune 500 company. in the electronic manufacturing. I started from being the IT guy.
Sure.
I ended up being the VP of manufacturing and engineering systems with a fairly large team. But this was actually a good outlet for me because I was able to do a lot of innovation and being entrepreneurial inside the company. So it was a good way to test without the risk of having your own business. But I still had this itch to like create my own thing. And eventually I worked on it days and more at night. After work, started launching it, learn new technology, and applied for Techstars, for a program here in Boulder, Techstars, which is a seed funding and incubator program for startup. It's for 3 months. And this was for me the spark that makes me actually leave my job and start the business usually. And once it was started, I had no choice. I had to make it work. Yep.
You burned the boat, right? Good. So I think this is pretty much wrap it up, but I wanted to ask you one more question because I'm interested about Boulder. How do you like living in Boulder?
I do ski and snowboard. Boulder is awesome. I think it's a good compromise. We got a lot of the benefits of the Silicon Valley with a very good tech and entrepreneurial and just small business community here in town without necessarily having to live in the big city. So for me, it's the right compromise.
Good. Hey, it was great talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to using your product as I'm a big fan of it, and I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation. And a wonderful way to kind of wrap this up is to think about skiing in the middle of April, where we're just coming out of the cold season. But I only got to go skiing once this year, so it's it's one of my goals is to get back on the slopes. If I get the time out of not running this business.
It's not the end yet for us. I don't know if I can show you. See, it snowed a few days ago.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Wow. You're really making
one of
me
the
jealous
benefits
now.
of being here. Cool, but Matt, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you today.